The smartphone, a beloved tech gadget that everyone has come to love and appreciate. Without a doubt, the smartphone is the single most important tech device that every individual has. No wonder it's also the best-selling tech gadget in history. A whopping 1.39 billion units of mobile phones was shipped globally in 2021. Apple generated $189 billion in smartphone sales alone, which is a 52% contribution of the company's overall $365 billion revenue in 2021. That's crazy. Welcome to an explainer video on my side of the internet where we dive into all things consumer behavior in relation to social media, digital trends, and technology. In this episode, we look at current global adoption of smartphone and the future ahead for the smartphone device. The smartphone has spawned industries and economies around it. Operating platforms iOS and Android dominate the smartphone industry. Nested within these operating platforms is a whole ecosystem of apps and services that rakes in millions of dollars for their creators. Smartphone gaming alone brought in over $90 billion in revenue in 2021. Social media channels such as TikTok, Snapchat, and Instagram would not have enjoyed the successes they have had it not been for the continuous usage of smartphones. On the hardware side, smartphone usage has also led to the creation of extra gadgets such as phone cases, screen protectors, lightning cables, AirPods, smartwatches, etc. The smartphone is the best use of technology we've had this millennium, giving us the ability to carry powerful computers in our pockets everywhere we go. Samsung and Apple continue to make bank with smartphone sales, and it makes up the major part of the revenue line for these companies. Xiaomi, Oppo, and Vivo round up the top 5 of smartphone producers globally. 230 million iPhones, 71 million iPads, and 20 million MacBooks were sold in 2020. In 2006, Apple recorded $19.1 billion in revenue and progressed to $365.8 billion in 2021 for its range of devices and services. The growth in Apple's revenues over the past 15 years is more than impressive. Samsung is the current global leader in smartphone shipments and sales and has amassed billions of dollars. Reports show that Samsung Electronics broke its quarterly and annual records for revenue in the fourth quarter of 2021, making $11.5 billion in operating profit out of $63.6 billion in revenue in a 3-month period. Samsung led the global smartphone market in 2021 with annual shipments of 272 million units. With all this unparalleled success for smartphones, can we say smartphones usage has reached its peak? We have a global population of 7.753 billion people. The current number of smartphone users in the world today stand at 6.648 billion. This means that 83.72% of the world's population own a smartphone. Various reports point to the fact that smartphone sales has not reached a record high like it did in 2016. According to the World Economic Forum, while the smartphone market did return to positive growth in the fourth quarter of 2020 and carried that momentum through the first half of 2021, it remains doubtful if smartphone shipments will ever return to the level reached in 2016. Back then, Apple, Samsung, and other producers shipped 1.4 billion devices, marking the industry's peak so far. By 2020, shipments had dropped back to 1.29 billion units, the lowest total since 2013. A market saturation problem lies ahead for global smartphone consumption, and given the economic crisis COVID brought to most economies, it doesn't look like consumers will be willing to dole out money to upgrade devices every year or two. Another point is whether innovation within the smartphone industry is worth the upgrade. For example, a random user will not be able to tell the differentiation in computing power between, say, the iPhone 11 Pro Max and the iPhone 13 Pro Max, besides the obvious structural differences. So how will the global smartphone market play out in the next medium to long term? Will we see a reduction in prices for premium smartphones? There will also be a huge second-hand market for smartphones. This market has already existed for people who cannot afford flagship phones when they are released. In 2020, there was 225.5 million units of used smartphones. Coupled with economic challenges, buyers will be questioning whether investing in a smartphone every year makes sense. The impact of smartphones on attention spans continue to be a hot topic, making people conscious of their screen time. Research has found that compulsive use of a mobile phone increases fatigue and stress level. Users are being cautious of screen addiction, which also affects their need to chase every shiny new release. Depending on how you look at it, the smartphone is entering a phase of puberty or menopause based on its usage. Whether adoption slows or grows, the smartphone is undoubtedly the king of all tech. Thank you for watching. Like, share, comment, and subscribe.